Hi everyone. Wanted to go over another solution for a new battle. This one, battle number 8 uh, for the 2023 season. This one I found interesting. It's a little, I find most Excel challenges, these cases fall into one of two categories. One, it's just sort of an action case where you just quickly go through and put down the formulas as fast as you can. On other ones, it really requires a little more nuance and to read. And reading under pressure can actually be quite difficult. And I felt like that this case more fell into that category. So now that I've had a chance to think about it over some time, I'd like to show a solution. So this one is about, racing in your race car and how quickly can you go around the lane. And we will start the clock. All right, so first off, we're just going around the speed, around the track, how fast it is. We can confirm looking at the track and just highlight all of these. I can see my count is 75. We don't include the pit stop, so it would be 72, which makes sense. And each block is 100 meters long. And we're always going to round our final answer on this. Okay, for level 2, it's similar. Now we have to take into account that as we go around the different turns, we're going to move it at a slower speed. So what we need to do here is just count how many turns, which is just the letter T. So I can just do a count ifs or if, either one, and just highlight this whole range. And then I want to know how many T's do I have. All right, 12. So this would be, instead of 7,200, this is 7,200 minus 1,200. So it'd be 6,000. And then this would be 1,200 divided by the turning speed. Okay. Now for level 3, and this is an issue, down here it has a little remember that the max speed of the car is 200 meters per second. It was not in bold. I just flew right past that and did not consider it, which led to my troubles on there. So we want to build this. We'll use a data table to eventually solve it. I'll just build an XLOOKUP for it. And then I might as well bring over these 3 items. So now there's these power boosts where you can go a little bit faster for a short period of time. Also, another thing, when I was originally tried this, I tried to straighten this out because I knew your power up and then the next 3, you had to account for it. And I wasted a lot of time doing that. A much easier way is to simply, we're going to copy this, we're going to paste it, and then I'm just going to go to special, find my constants, and then just write one formula in here. So I'm going to use it as a let formula. So the first thing is, do we have a power up? I'm going to call that the letter P and just set it to 0 to start. Next thing I need to know is my initial speed. So we can call that IS. And let's just call it S. And then we want to know if we are turning or not. So if we are C2, if we are turning, so if that equals a T, then I want to use my turning speed. Otherwise, I want to use the driving speed. These are my only 2 real speeds on here. Then the next thing is I'll call it the power speed. So we'll call that PS. So that would just be our speed plus our speed times, do we have a power boost? times what the power boost is, which in this case is 10%. We would want to lock that down. So then I know the size of each of these is 100. So I can put my final formula in here. So it'd be 100. And then I want to divide by either the minimum of that new speed or the 200. And then I hit Control Enter. Assume it wanted the correct. And so now I have all the formulas in the right spots. Quick note, don't need a pit stop on level 3. And then for this one, I just want to change the power up to a 1. So the power ups do occur there. So then copy that, and then I'm just going to paste it on the next 3 and the future ones. So it's a total of 4. And then just quickly look, does it look like it's 4 all the way around? It does. So then our answer, which I'm hoping will be 42, it is on there, but we do need to round it. Is 42, which is what our goal was. So now I just need 20 rows. Starting at 31, I can pull in an answer here, and then we can update the data table and the column input cell, which would be this initial example 3. Okay, so now we're on to level 4. So for level 4, we also have, they have to go to the pit stop every so often. So we need, and the race can be number of laps. So we need to figure out those additional items. So I can work with what I already have here. So instead of example 3, we can make that a 4. And then I can just increase both this and the number of columns, say M, which is more than we need, which is fine. And so the nice thing is that the speed, turning speed, and power up boost are all in the same spot, but now we have the stint and the laps. So if it's a regular lap, we already have the answer for that, so it's great. Now, if it's not a regular lap, if it's a pit stop lap, then we have to calculate that. And so if it's a pit stop lap, this goes away, and we'll turn here into the pit stop and then go, that'll be a normal lane. So then I can change this down here, and for the pit stop, it's always 10 seconds, 10-second pit stop. So now I know here's the regular level, and then if it's a pit stop level, it's going to be the sum of this. Okay, so now what we need to know is it a pit stop level? So we'll build out something over here, and I'm just gonna make it like 50 rows, which should be more than enough. We can look at it real quick. What is our max here? Max is 24. Okay, so we'll just make it 30. Do not worry on here. So if the start part, decision, or like miles left, which is going to be this. Left decision on here. So we're always going to start 4100 is we start, and at that point, we're going to need to make a decision. So we have 1590. So if, um, so first off, if the lap is equal to the final lap, then we have less to go. We only have 7200 minus the 4100. Otherwise, we need to go 7200 again in order to get back around the, the track. Let's make this a let statement. And I'll call this D for the distance needed. So if the amount that we can go is less than the distance that we need, then we're going to make it a 1. Otherwise, it's going to be false. Okay. So then for the miles left is always going to be 7,200 minus the 4,100. Actually, let's change that. If that's true, it's actually less. Um, it's 6,500. And so it'd be 6,500 is the total track. Otherwise, if we do stop the pit stop, and then otherwise it's the 7,200 minus the 4,100 that we already came. So then we would have 3,100 miles left. So then once again, we can have an updated number here. This is always just going to be 4,100. This will be equal to that minus that. And we should be able to pull these down. Okay. Oh, once we need to fix it. So if we do, we get to reset um, this number. So if this is a 1, then we get to equal this number again. Otherwise, this number. Okay. And then for the number of rows, it's going to be sum s. We want to sum up the number of times we go in based on the lap number. And then that has to be see, it has to be less than or equal to our number of laps. So then that would be 4, and then we can sort of back into that. And so then we can now round as times this plus pit stops plus the number of times. And 441 is what we are looking for, and that is what we have. So then I can just change this to start at 51. So then for level 5, what we need to do is we need to figure out um, who would win each of the races on here. And I think the best way to try to do this is just figure it all out. Um, Once again, so let's see what our max laps are. Okay, is 25. This seems to be the most that laps can be. So I'm going to make a copy of this. I'll just call it level 5. And so I'm going to have our number of laps going across. And then in here will be our racers. And I believe there's 100 racers. Should check that. Okay. And then for here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this the number 1. Then now what I want to pull up is from here. I want to pull up this and then this information. Okay. So this is great. So this is everything, once again, is right in there um, on here. So then the only thing we don't know is our laps. So we'll just say one laps. And so then this would be our answer for racer 1 on 1 laps. You know what? I'm going to make that 3 laps just so I don't totally confuse myself. And then this will be what we want the answer to be. So now we're going to do this as our data table. So my column input cell is my racer number. And then my row input cell is the number of laps. So here is every racer's time based on the number of laps and their race number on here. So now what I can do, I think I can just copy these. And I can just paste these down here. And then this would be a text split. So this will then pull in all the racers. I think about it, I do want to make these numbers and then this is my laps, and then these are um, my items. I'm sorry, I'm changing my mind on what I want to do. Okay. So I'm going to actually call this example 5 and then make this a XLOOKUP. And spill, we're going to G to H. Only 2 items. Oh, there we go. On here. So now we know what column to do it. So what I'm just going to do here is say I'm doing if. So if my lapse is equal to this, and if my eraser equals this, then I want whatever is in here. And it looks like I should expect 466. Missing a parenthesis. Okay, there's my 466. Got a lot of other junk. I can work around that is I can just put the sum around it. So there we go. So there I have my 466. On here, let me lock down this range. Very important. That should flow. And the other one shouldn't on here. Okay, so then we're just looking for our min. And then we have just going to find this and see what our answer is 13. And is that what we were looking for? Yes, it is. Okay. So then we just need 71 through 100. Another data table and just changing our example. Okay, so now we just got our bonus questions. What's the average speed taken to go around the track, assuming it's the same as going with the track around the pit stop. So in one case we'll go 6,500, the other one will go with this. I'll just choose a starting speed, which is just this divided by this. And this one would be this divided by this plus 10 seconds. And then look at my difference. And in order to get it to match, all I have to do is drag it down here. Is goal seek. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to change that. I want to make it equal, and I'm going to do it by changing my average speed. Okay, and so it's 70. Sometimes there's random trailing things, but we can just type 70 and see it matches exactly. All right, so then which racer rode the most laps across all the races? I'm going to skip that for a second. And then for the racers in level 5, which racer has the greatest potential increase in speed passing through a power up? Okay, so that one is actually pretty easy to do. So we know it's our power up boost times the best speed is the answer, but we also know there's a max speed of 200. So then we can say 200 minus this. And then we look to see like what's the smaller of the two. All right, and this one's actually a max. Okay. And this one, I'll just use an X match. Okay, so racer number 30. Racer number 30 for the correct answer. All right. For bonus two, which racer has ridden the most laps across all the race levels in level five, not including the example? All right, so I'm just going to take a blank sheet here, go down, and copy on these. And paste this as values. And then I'm going to do a similar thing, the text split again. Drag that down. And then I'm going to have my racers over here. And then I'm going to use an if statement. So if this range or equals this number, then okay, this number for the number of laps. Otherwise, give me 0. And then I can wrap this whole thing in a sum to avoid the spill errors. Oh, and then I can also look to see, well, what did I do well on here? So our ranges look correct. So we have our if H6 through AA35 is equal. Oh, well, if we get rid of that hashtag and just make it A7. There we go. And why it works sometimes and not others, I not answer that. So let's see who did the most laps. 197. We'll do another X match. Okay, so it should be racer number 63. And it is. And we are done. And we did that with just under 27 minutes on there. So this was a good, interesting case. Like you said, a lot of little nuances, very easy to mess up, especially if you ignore the max speed limit can mess you up. And then the going around this racetrack and figuring out how much space you need to get back to the pit stop is actually a little more complicated than you would at first think on there. But overall, a very enjoyable case.